On this channel, I've had to take a lot of unpopular views, but this has been without a doubt my most unpopularist. Is that even a word? The idea that there was an AI bubble and it was going to pop has been ludicrous to me. And the reason for that, I've laid out crystal clear many times. And today we have the proof in the pudding. We actually have hard, tangible results that I can point to and nobody can argue with. Now, to be crystal clear, when I say the AI bubble narrative is false, what I mean is the idea that the entire sector is in a bubble. There are companies such as XAI and OpenAI, led by two carnival-barkers, Elon Musk and Elon Musk Jr., also known as Sam Altman, who definitely are in a bubble. Their companies are not worth even close to what they pretend they are. And both these guys just run cults of personalities. They're not real companies. They're just meme companies. But the entire market is not in a bubble. And I've tried to point this out by bringing up research that shows that Huawei, Google, Facebook have already made money off of AI. But everybody ignores it because they're just listening to the spectacle and the hype from some know-nothing guy on YouTube. Well, now here we're going to look through actual numbers and facts. I know the most boring things in the world. Alphabet, who I did a video on saying will be the most important and influential company in the entire Western Hemisphere in a few short years, has just came out with this earnings and shattered every single notion that AI is a bubble. Alphabet's earnings were nothing short of spectacular and scary at the same time. I've stated many times on this channel that Alphabet has created this entire sector. The entire sector is based off of two papers that they wrote, Attention is All That Matters and the TensorFlow library and paper that they wrote in 2014. They open sourced these papers and then created the entire AI community as we know right now. China's also. Everything in China, if you're in China, it's all based off of those two papers from Alphabet. Of course, there was Chinese researchers on both papers, but I'm just telling you, Alphabet set up this space and they compete at every single level. They have closed source and they have open source. They have large models and they have small. They have the entire stack. They have the most performant AI chips on the market, bar none. NVIDIA has the most performant that are readily available to consumers, i.e. that you can buy. But Alphabet's outperform NVIDIA's. The problem is up until the end of this year, Alphabet will not be able to supply with anybody. You can only access them in Google Cloud. But on the earnings call, they said they are on plan to actually start delivering them to a handful of customers for their own in-house servers. We will see how that goes. I do not believe Google is a real threat in the fabrication space, but it does not matter. Alphabet saw increases in its cloud revenue to 63% to $20 billion. Why is this number so important? Because they are looking at Azure and AWS and taking customers away left and right. Why? Because they're the only one that has the full AI stack from top to bottom, not just in the West, in the entire world. Okay? Huawei has 90% of it. Alibaba has like 75. Amazon has about 66. Microsoft sort of has around 90%. Depends on how you consider OpenAI relationship to Microsoft. But Google has the entire thing. They have custom built processors, their TPUs, which are the most performant on earth. They are able to serve AI queries 80% cheaper than their customers or their competitors who use NVIDIA. And they also have the leading models. And again, remember, it's not just closed source. They have Gem 4, which came out and stunned the world in its availability under the Apache 2 license and in its performance. But this 63% increase right here is so important because Michael Burry was talking about the cost of hardware. Well, if we come down here, we can see that of that 20 billion that Google Cloud made, you might say, hey, its operating income is only 6.5 billion, i.e. 13.5 billion was in running Google Cloud. Well, yes. And this is what I've tried to explain so many times. Why Michael Burry never, in his overinflated thesis, never mentioned Alphabet. Because Google eats its own dog food. It's the same thing that Amazon does. It's the same thing that Alibaba does. I.e., they get to run their internal services on their own cloud. So when Meta goes out and spends $100 billion, they have to take that cost, throw it to NVIDIA, and then they just use it to power their own services. When Alphabet spends money on hardware, it runs its own services on it. And then when its own services aren't running on it, it takes it and rents it out to someone else and makes money off of it. That's why I've been continually saying the cost doesn't matter for these chips to them, as long as there's demand, and the demand is there. They announced that they have a $460 billion backlog. Backlog nearly doubling quarter to quarter. This is committed money, and this is not Oracle's $400 billion committed from Sam Altman. This is a multitude of companies. Everybody wants on their TPUs, and they pretty much announced that in the earnings call. And why wouldn't you? You can't compete with Google if they're able to serve customers 80% cheaper than you are. It just does not make financial sense. You must get on their TPUs. $460 billion in a backlog, an absolutely insane number. Google has so much money. Or Michael Burry is saying, what are they going to do about cash? They're going to be broke. He never did say Google. And this is where there is a bubble. OpenAI, yes, is in a bubble. But Alphabet has so much cash, they increased their dividend by 5%. I.e., they're actually paying back stockholders. The only time you increase a dividend is if you're doing really bad and you desperately don't want people to sell the stock. Or if you just have so much money you don't know what to do with it. Well, the case here with Alphabet is they literally have so much money, they do not know what to do with it. Their net operating income was actually an astonishing and record-setting, beating out Saudi Aramco's largest net operating income for a quarter, $62.5 billion. But I don't want to count this because they did have a one-time investment on a private security, I understand this. None of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. To be in the markets, you have to be a clown in America because our markets are run by clowns. But this is likely SpaceX. I mean, I don't know. I'll speculate. We talk about the spectacle. I will speculate that this is SpaceX or Anthropic or a combination of both. But Warren Buffett must be a little worried here because it turns out that this is the second time in 4 quarters that Google has had to report a substantial gain in private securities such as this. I believe the other time it was 25 billion. So maybe they're going to be taking away Berkshire's title. It's the best investment firm. But their net income, this is what it would have been without this, $40 billion operating income. I mean, it would have been like a few billion less for cost. $40 billion This is an absolutely, or actually, sorry, it would have been a little bit more. $40 billion. This is absolute insanity. I mean, it is insanity. I just don't know how to explain this to you if you don't get it. This is from AI. AI is touching everything they do. Okay? Search, which people said was dead last year, grew 20%. And they said it's directly related to Gemini and their AI overviews. And let me tell you, they have passed. Remember on this channel, I've told you so many times, they would be the leader. They will be the leader in the West, a monopoly or duopoly for consumer AI. Well, they are, because they did not mention how many users they have, just like I predicted. Once they achieved the most dominant position, they would stop announcing users. We saw this happen before with Google, with Apple, and their respective monopolies. It's a common procedure because you don't want to invite antitrust right away against you. You don't want to proclaim to the world, yeah, hey, start targeting us. We have the largest position, because governments will come after you immediately. So instead of talking about users, they'll say things like, oh yeah, we're processing 16 billion tokens per minute via direct API used by our customers. Absolutely amazing. So AI is driving all of this. How do they make money in AI? Well, it's returning across the entire suite. All that spending, $180 billion laid out this quarter for hardware. Here's their balance sheet. They increased assets by 108 billion. Liabilities only increased by 45. That's a $63 billion increase in assets in one quarter. They still had cash and cash equivalents on hand, liquid assets of $127 billion. I don't know what else to say to you guys if you're not understanding what I'm trying to tell you here. 800% year over year jump in cloud AI solutions revenue. Okay? 800% year over year jump in cloud AI solutions revenue. This is AI paying them back. It is not a bubble for some companies. I'm trying to tell you that. Stop believing the hype. Is it possible that an OpenAI or an XAI will fail? Absolutely, companies will fail. But AI is not going to fail. It is here to stay. Whether you like it or not, it is here to stay. It's not just Google, it's also China. Okay, for the Google over here, over in China, there's going to be an equivalent company that dominates in the same way. Likely either Huawei or Alibaba. AI is not going away. Whatever narrative they're trying to feed you, even if you like it, and you'd rather not hear what I'm saying, I'm telling you, it's not true. Not only are they making tons of money off of AI, insane amount of money off AI, 350 million paid users. This isn't just from AI, but just total. AI is helping drive that. They can afford it. 462 billion. This is supposed to be recognized over the next 2 years. And backlog, that's on top of what they're already serving out of the cloud. They're hoping to recognize that in the next 2 years. So remember, the 180 billion they're spending this year, they're probably going to spend more than that next year. It's all paid for. It's all paid for. And you say, well, what if this starts to tumble? Well, again, here we have a company that has 475 billion net assets. It's not like they're struggling with their cash position here. This is not financial advice in any way, shape, or form. The American markets, you look at Google, it's still priced at a relatively sane 32 times earnings. For a company growing like this that is dominating in what is likely the most important field in the history of mankind, that's pretty sane to me, but I am not a clown. If I was, I'd say buy Tesla because Elon promises to be the best in everything. And his promise is better than someone that does it. That's what a proper financial advisor in the West would say to you. That's how you know I don't have the qualifications. Because I'm telling you about a company that's actually doing real things. And that doesn't matter. What matters is what they promise. That's what gets you a financial advisor qualification in the West. Those are the people you want to listen to. The spectacle is the most important thing in the West. That's what I got for you guys today. Take care.